In the Wild West, cattle weren't just animals. They were power, wealth, and survival. And when power is at stake, blood is never far behind. This is the story of the bloodiest ranch war in Texas history, a feud so savage it left the frontier stained red and families torn apart forever. The year was 1877 and Texas was in turmoil. Railroads cut across the plains. Towns sprang up overnight and ranches sprawled for miles. Cattle were the lifeblood of the economy. Longhorns worth a fortune on the markets in Kansas City and Chicago. But with fortune came rivalry. Two ranching families, the McAllisters and the Donovans, carved their empires on neighboring lands near Palo Pinto County. For years they coexisted with an uneasy peace. But when drought struck, grass grew scarce and herds began to cross into rival pastures, peace gave way to fury. It began with a single accusation. The McAllisters claimed Donovan Cowboys had branded stray calves with the Donovan mark. The Donovans swore the McAllisters had stolen cattle outright. What might have been settled in court was instead answered with gunfire. One night, shots rang out across the Donovan ranch. A barn went up in flames. The next morning, 3 McAllister cowboys were found dead by the creek, their bodies riddled with bullets. From that moment, it was no longer a dispute, it was war. Both ranches hired gunmen for hire, drifters, ex-soldiers, and desperados who cared little for law, only for pay. Posses roamed the hills, ambushing rivals on lonely trails. Wagons carrying supplies were overturned. Wells were poisoned. Families lived in constant terror, children sleeping under floorboards while bullets rattled the windows. Within weeks, the conflict claimed more than a dozen lives. The papers called it the Texas Cattle Feud. But in the saloons, men gave it another name, the Blood Pasture War. In the spring of 1878, the feud reached its boiling point. The McAllisters, desperate to end it, gathered 30 men, cowboys, gunmen, and allies from neighboring ranches. Under the cover of night, they rode to the Donovan homestead, torches in hand. But the Donovans were ready. A spy had warned them. Barricaded inside their ranch house with rifles bristling from windows, they waited. The night exploded with gunfire and flames. Bullets tore through wood and glass, horses screamed, men fell in the dust. For hours, the ranch echoed with the roar of rifles and the screams of the wounded. By dawn, the ground was littered with bodies. 12 men were dead, most of them McAllisters. The Donovans had defended their home, but at a terrible cost. Their youngest son lay lifeless on the porch, his rifle still in his hands. The massacre at the Donovan ranch forced the government to act. Texas Rangers rode into Palo Pinto County, determined to put an end to the bloodshed. But justice was easier said than done. Witnesses were too afraid to speak. Juries were stacked with men loyal to one side or the other. Trials collapsed into chaos. The feud dragged on for years, each killing answered with another. By the early 1880s, more than 40 men lay dead. Cowboys, gunmen, even innocent bystanders caught in the crossfire. The war ended not with treaties or courts, but with exhaustion. Too many graves, too many widows, too much blood spilled over cattle and pride. When the dust finally settled, the ranches remained, but changed forever. The McAllisters sold off much of their land, their fortune broken by the cost of endless fighting. The Donovans, though victorious in survival, carried scars that no wealth could heal. Stories of the Blood Pasture War spread far beyond Texas. Newspapers painted it as proof that the frontier was a lawless land where families turned guns on each other for the sake of cows and grass. And in truth, that's exactly what it was. The bloodiest ranch war in Texas wasn't fought by armies. It wasn't remembered for glory or honor. It was remembered for families torn apart, neighbors turned enemies, and the price of pride paid in blood. It was a reminder of what the Wild West truly was, not just a land of opportunity, but a land where survival was bought with bullets. If you found this tale of the Wild West gripping, subscribe to West Side Tales. More stories of ranching, outlaws, and legends ride your way every single day.